was raised by a Taoist priest. I'm the real heir to the wealthy James family, Candy, who got lost in the mix. But by the 10th day after being recognized and brought back, my family and fiancé forced me to take the fall for Carrie, the fake heiress, ending up in prison for 3 years. After 3 years, the heavy metal gates of the women's prison creaked open. I slowly walked out wearing a tattered dark blue Taoist robe. My knees had been shattered while in prison, and now, with the first spring breeze, it felt like steel needles stabbing into me. I looked down at the red string on my wrist, noting it was nearly broken. I wasn't here to reclaim my place as a wealthy heiress. I was here to sever ties and cut karma. With every suffering I endured, a piece of karma was sliced away. Once the red string snapped, I could return to my Taoist practices. Lost in thought, I heard a mocking voice ahead. Just out of prison, and dawdling around like that. Missing the good prisoner life, aren't you? I looked up to see my fiancé, David, who was one of the ties I needed to sever. David was the only son of the richest man, known for his extravagance and playful lifestyle. At that moment, he was leaning against a Porsche with a cigarette in his mouth, smirking at me. I remembered that David hated me 3 years ago, so why would he personally come to pick me up? While thinking, David casually tossed a bag to me, spilling countless envelopes onto the ground. These 99 breakup letters are my welcome back gift to you. I'm not interested in scrawny things like you. Made you go to prison for Carrie, so that you'd give up on the idea of taking her place as the young mistress. Even though we were promised as kids and you're the real deal, Carrie is the only one I want as my wife. I froze. I'd never thought of taking anything from Carrie. I moved my cracked lips but said nothing, just knelt down slowly, picking up one letter after another. 97, 98, 99. Holding the thick stack of breakup letters, I dug into my pocket and took out a sachet. Raising my different colored eyes to David, I noticed his smirk fading under my gaze. Of course, our family won't leave you high and dry. Name your compensation, he said. I shook my head without thinking. I'll agree to the breakup. No compensation is needed. Just take this sachet with you. But David didn't accept it, just frowned at me. Seeing this, I pushed it further towards him, almost kneeling before him. Members of the Smith family face disasters in middle age. Consider this as repaying your life-saving kindness from 13 years ago. David scoffed at my gesture. After all those years in prison, you're still pretending to be all mystical. You think I don't know sachets are tokens of love? If I take this, Carrie will cry her eyes out. Seeing that he wouldn't take it, I lowered my head, regretfully placing the sachet back in my pocket. It's a shame. If David had accepted it, I could have shouldered another bit of karma and severed ties with him sooner. I reached out again, grabbing onto his sleeve. Can I make a request for that breakup compensation you mentioned earlier? David, with a sarcastic smile, asked, What do you want? House, car, money? I can give you all that. I looked down at the red string on my wrist and shook my head again. I don't need any of that, I said, looking directly at David with eyes that held a different depth. Just let me stay by your side for another month. A month would be enough to sever the karma. Then we'd go our separate ways forever. Bridge after bridge, road after road. David's smile faded, and his gaze turned cold. Staying by my side for a month? Is this your new way to play hard to get? But I'm not falling for it. He flung the words at me, shook loose of my grip, and got into his car, speeding away. The cold wind and dust tore through my thin Taoist robe, leaving me trembling. I tucked the 99 breakup letters into my worn-out backpack, my shadow stretching long on the road as I trudged back to the James house. With blisters covering my feet and hardly a breath taken, my brother Ken dragged me into the basement of the James mansion, dumping me on the ground. You shameless fool, just out of jail, and already thinking about stealing your sister's fiancé. Barely able to hold back the pain, I pushed myself up, my mismatched eyes looking at my brother Ken. He froze for a moment, then crushed my head under his foot on the icy, smelly floor of the basement. What are you looking at? Creepy eyes on a disgusting person. I stayed silent, my gaze vacant as if I couldn't feel the pain. My eyes aren't creepy. They're just different, a yin-yang gaze. My master always said people with such eyes are naturally perceptive, but lack close family bonds. How true that was. Just then, my stepmother Lisa came in, wearing a cheongsam and a kind expression. Seeing me trampled on the floor, she seemed sympathetic, but only sighed helplessly. Candy, don't blame your brother for being harsh. He's doing it for your own good. Heard David broke up with you today. And yet you insisted on staying with him for another month. Carrie cried. Just listen to your brother and reflect in the basement. Think of it as apologizing to Carrie. 3 years ago it was the same. The moment we met, without a word from me, Carrie shed a few tears. And they locked me in the basement, denying me food and water. Now it's as if time stood still. The door closed, and in the darkness, I closed my eyes, trembling as I climbed off the ground, wiping away the shoe print on my face. It was nothing. This pain was far less than having my kneecap shattered. Once I repay the debts, I'll never see the James family again. I expected to be locked up for at least a full day and night. But in only 2 hours, the door swung open, and Ken stubbornly dragged me to the Smith family's villa. David's migraine came back. Demands you go to him. I warn you, don't you dare put your hands on him. He's Carrie's fiancé. Arriving in David's bedroom, the whole place felt icy, and he was drenched in cold sweat, curled up in pain. I approached his bed and opened his shirt. The moment I touched him, David's eyes snapped open, and he shoved me away harshly. Get away! Are you treating me, or just trying to take advantage? I shouldn't have called you here. I hit the floor, stunned for a moment. I'm checking your body, treating you, not taking advantage. I apprenticed under a famous physician, you know. Your grandfather once stood at the foot of the mountain for 3 days, offering $1 billion reward just to see him. Let me help you. You'll know with just one try. I'm pretty skilled. I finished speaking, and was just about to pull out my acupuncture kit. With a loud splash, a pot of cold water is dumped on my head. Ken throws the teapot fiercely, then roughly grabs me by the hair, dragging me outside. You're such a disgrace, he says. I don't have a lying, deceitful sister like you. Everyone in town knows about the miracle healer, the prestigious Taoist in a purple robe. He can predict lifespans and future events. But the old man who raised you? He's just a regular short village guard. Stop trying to elevate yourself. Even with my scalp bleeding, I stubbornly stay by David's side. Please just let me try once, I plead. I promise I won't hurt you. I'm begging sincerely, as if I'll keep hoping no matter how badly I'm treated. 3 hours later, as dawn breaks, I return to James' house, pale and staggering. I use the Ghost Gate 13 needles to treat David. He finally falls asleep. The process saps my energy, and I'm exhausted with nothing to eat. Back in the basement, I collapse onto the small bed and fall asleep. Finally, I sever some of the ties of causation. A sharp pain strikes me, and I'm yanked out of bed, instantly awake. Ken throws a dress at me. You saved David. He's having a birthday party tonight at 8, and specifically invites you. Dress up well. Don't embarrass us. At 8 p.m., at the Smith family's villa banquet hall, I immediately head to a corner to grab food. I just want to eat quickly and leave, but I sense someone trying to tap my shoulder. I turn to dodge, seeing Carrie's hand in midair, her eyes momentarily flashing with malice. She withdraws her hand, her chin lifted defiantly. You think being a sycophant will make David like you? Carrie taunts. David, Ken, and the James family all belong to me. You'll see. Before she's done speaking, Carrie screams and pours her drink on herself. Everything changes so fast. I haven't even swallowed my cake when my brother rushes over and kicks me hard in the stomach. I crash into the champagne tower, glasses shattering, glass cutting my skin. Blood gushes out, startlingly vivid. Under everyone's gaze, I stand up from the glass shards despite the pain. My dress, soaked with wine and blood, clings to me, revealing too much. Still, Ken isn't satisfied. He pulls out a belt, bullying Carrie right under my nose. I'm going to teach you proper manners. He strikes with the belt, the crocodile leather opening wounds with each lash. My dress tears, exposing more of my body. Ken keeps hitting me. I clutch my chest, feeling the burning pain as my clothing disintegrates. Flashes of red marks cover my arms, and I bite my lip to endure the humiliation. Breath heavy around me, eyes sticky and invasive. Finally, Ken tires. Candy, have you learned your lesson? Still dare to bully Carrie? If you do, I won't just beat you. I'll punish that idiotic old man who taught you too. Suddenly, I look up at him, eyes cold. They can mistreat me, but not my master. I wipe the blood from the corner of my mouth. You're no brother of mine. The first day back at the James house, you threatened me, Said you'd only consider Carrie a sister. The second day, you broke my bowl. Said I wasn't good enough to eat with you. The third day, you shoved me into the pool, nearly drowning me. With what right do you teach me manners? The crowd whispers. Their gazes at the family change. Ken's face flushes. He raises the belt again. Shameless brat. Still not enough disgrace. He swings the belt, and I instinctively close my eyes. The hit never came. David grabs Ken's wrist, his expression cold. Ken, this is David's house. Are you trying to wreck my party? He pushes Ken aside, picking me up and carrying me upstairs. Surprisingly, he takes me to his room. In the bedroom, David gently places me on the bed, frowning at the sight. Why so stubborn? He asks. If he hit you, why didn't you call for help? Call who? I ask. Ken is my brother after all. Who would intervene? I stay silent, fiddling with the red string on my wrist. I don't need anyone's help. I can fight back. But I want to sever emotional ties and leave this place. Every pain thins the string. Every thin string cuts another tie. Lost in thought, David drapes a shirt over me. I look up to see him staring at my back. A pang rings in my heart. The old scar is from when I was attacked by a beast 13 years ago. And he saved me. Does he remember? Soon, David withdraws his gaze. Rest here. I'll take you home later. With that, he leaves, the door clicking shut. I keep looking at the door. Something's off about David tonight. He usually wants me far away. Why bring me to his room and give me his clothes? Instinct tells me not to entangle with him. I put down his shirt and head downstairs. As I turn the corner, I hear the elder's announcement from the stage. Dear friends and family, we announce that David and Carrie will marry on the 8th of next month. You're all invited. In the spotlight, David, so perfect and destined, was meant to be my husband. My heart aches with a sudden loss. I take a deep breath. Force myself to look away. David and Carrie getting engaged is for the best. This way David and I can cut off all ties. Just then, I heard a mocking laugh from ahead. Heard David's marrying Carrie. And you rushed over? You shameless little. Other people's business interests you so much? I glared at Ken. He paused, then sneered. What are you staring at? Keep it up, and I'll gouge your eyes out. Get lost, don't stand here annoying me. I shifted my gaze and walked away. There's still a distance between David's place and mine. Carrying my ill-fitting high heels, I stepped out of the hall. But as I passed the garden, someone suddenly grabbed my waist. My dress tore with a rip. Ken wasn't kidding. Your figure is amazing without clothes. Lucky me today, he ogled. My expression hardened. Just as I was about to fight back, I heard Carrie scream. Sis, what are you doing? I looked up to see Carrie dramatically covering her eyes, and David scowling next to her. On seeing David, the man holding me quickly dressed and sprinted away. Not my fault. She seduced me. David's expression darkened. My heart sank. David already didn't like me. I had to explain before he misunderstood, or I'd lose all chance of ending our ties. I hastily blurted, David, it's not what he said. But David didn't give me a chance to clarify. He just turned to leave, Carrie seemingly forgotten behind him. I didn't care about anything else then. Barefoot, I chased after David. I searched around for a while. Finally, at the poolside, I found him. I ran over, only for David to shoot me a cold look. Stay away from me. His eyes were full of disdain. My chest tightened, my grip on my clothes growing tense. David, I didn't allure him. I was set up, he was sent by my brother. But David cut me off with a scornful laugh. Ken would never bring someone to harm his own sister. Why not? I retorted bitterly. 3 years ago when Carrie hit someone, Ken was the first to frame me. Now humiliating and beating me at parties, why wouldn't he? Thinking those things through wasn't useful now though. Taking a deep breath, I stood firm. I'm telling the truth. What will it take for you to believe me? David glanced at me, pointing to the pool. I heard you can't swim. This pool's over 30 feet deep. Jump in without rescue, and I'll believe you. Before he even stopped speaking, I jumped in without hesitating. A splash echoed, water engulfing me. I struggled, fighting the sensation of drowning. I heard a faint shout, Candy, are you crazy? Can't swim, yet you jumped. Is this for me? A moment later, strong arms pulled me out. As I lay by the pool coughing, I looked up at David. Cold wind made me shiver uncontrollably. Do you believe me now? I didn't seduce anyone. I will do anything for you. Please, let me do something for you. Under the light, I hadn't realized my true face was exposed. David seemed momentarily astonished, swallowing hard before avoiding my gaze. Recovering, he draped his jacket over me. Even like this, what can you do for me? Before I could respond, he picked me up, carrying me to his car and driving home. His car stopped at the doorstep. With his help, I got out, only to meet Carrie coming down the stairs, face twisted in anger. As I thanked David quietly, Ken grabbed and dragged me to the basement door. You trash, you still dare to flirt with David? Do you think I can't deal with you? He shoved me down. The door slammed shut. For days I endured hunger, pain, and isolation, drifting between consciousness and fainting until 3 days later. They took me to David's hot spring villa. I kept my distance, wandering to a secluded lakeside, but I was suddenly shoved hard, plunging into the water. Carrie loomed above, hurling insults. Aren't you fond of diving into trouble? Dive all you want. Just then I heard voices, David and Ken approaching. Carrie's demeanor changed instantly, tears streaming. Brother, his name Sichuan, help. Yet Ken just cursed cruelly, beating me down each time I surfaced. Within 10 minutes, exhaustion took over, numbing drifts setting in. In desperation, I glanced at David. He stood between Ken and me, stopping him. It's enough. Any more and she'll drown. Relief blossomed, thinking David might help. But then I heard it. Hitting her like that won't help. David Mental Hospital just got a new electric shock lie detector. They're looking for guinea pigs. Why not send her there for a few days? With just a word from David, they put me, someone with no illness, in the mental hospital. David specifically instructed them to take good care of me. In the electric therapy room at David Mental Hospital, the oppressive cries of pain came with the sizzling sound of current. I kept getting shocked into unconsciousness, then splashed awake with cold water. I lost track of how many times this was repeated. Through the extreme suffering, I even thought about fighting back. But then, looking at the fragile red string on my wrist, I held back. If David hates me that much, it's fine. The harsher he is, the sooner our relationship can end. Once the red string breaks, we'll never see each other again. I gritted my teeth, holding on, reciting my mantras 9,999 times, until I finally fainted. When I opened my eyes again, David was standing by my bed frowning at me. In his eyes, I saw myself, pathetic, weak, curled up pathetically. David's dark eyes fixed on me, with an emotion I couldn't understand. Then he said, if you're willing to apologize to Carrie, I'll let you out. Apologize? I was the one pushed into the water. I was the one punished, beaten, shocked. And now the victim has to apologize to the perpetrator? How does that make sense? I closed my eyes, reciting my mantra again to suppress my rebellious thoughts. After all, I've done all this to end it sooner, to return to my practice. Why ruin it now? I lifted my head to stare at David, my voice hoarse. If this is something you want me to do, then I'll apologize. David's brow furrowed slightly, his lips pressed tight. After a while, he shook his head. I followed David to Carrie, bowed to apologize, catching a glimpse of her face, full of fake concern. I'm sorry, I said. A smug look flashed in Carrie's eyes as she pretended to support me. Sister, we're all family. No need to be distant. But this is the big city, not our small village. Think twice before acting. You pushed me this time. I'm not holding a grudge. But if you hurt some other rich girl, it could shame the Candy family, put Mom and Dad in a tough spot. Come on, let's go home. Mom and Dad are still upset, but I'll help calm them down. I shook off Carrie's hand, my tone cold. Don't worry. I won't interrupt your date with Mr. David. I'll head home myself. After speaking, I felt David's aura turn frosty, but I didn't look back. I left slowly without a glance. In the end, I didn't return to the Candy home. I found a cheap motel and settled down, watching the last 3 threads holding the red string together. I exhaled deeply. Soon it'll all be over, and I'll be going back. That night, I had the best sleep in a long time. But before dawn, there was a loud banging on the motel door. As soon as I opened it, Ken grabbed my hair and dragged me out. He pulled me down the hallway, causing such a commotion that many guests opened their doors to watch. He wasn't ashamed. Instead, his arrogance grew. Running away after doing wrong? Is there no regard for me as your brother or our family? You don't even consider us family. A useless brat. If you were half as sensible as Carrie, Mom and I wouldn't have to worry. He dragged me into the car, forcing me back to the candy house. There, in the villa, I stumbled and nearly fell, staring at the supposedly maternal face of Mrs. Candy. Carrie's marriage to David is a done deal. Why do you insist on being difficult? You're my daughter too and I cherish you. I'll arrange a marriage for you. Stay home for now. Don't cause trouble. I didn't even know what I'd done to make them suspect me of wrongdoing. But Mrs. Candy, just like before, gently scolded me and then left with Ken. Only then did I manage to stand up, pain throbbing through my reopened arm wound. Despite Mrs. Candy's talk of love, she ignored my bleeding. It was hard to process. I walked outside, standing in the sunlight, feeling a bit warmer. Before I could relax, though, David approached again. He looked at me, frowned, and grabbed my hand. Why don't you treat your injuries? Doesn't it hurt? His tone seemed caring, concerned. But all my pain came from him. I pulled my hand away and covered up with my sleeve, noticing David's forehead vein pulse. I hurriedly asked, what about you? Does your head hurt again? Want me to do some acupuncture? He frowned deeper, looking strange. You're hurt, yet you're still thinking of treating my headache? Do you really like me that much? I avoided the question. As long as it's something you want me to do, I'll do it. Even helping Carrie is fine, if it's your wish. Before David could reply, Carrie suddenly stepped out, clinging to his arm. Sister, is that true? I heard if you tie the lover's knot on the highest branch of the fortune tree on Mount Dingyin, you'll be blessed with eternal love. Would you help us? I looked at David. Our eyes met, and he said nothing, but I took that as agreement. Sure, I nodded. I'll go to Mount Dingyin and tie the knot for you. I wish you all the happiness. 2 hours later, a clear sky over Mount Dingyin turned stormy as soon as I climbed the tree. Lightning and thunder. Ken, who was with me, saw what was happening. In a hurry, he took Carrie down the mountain, worried she might get hurt. Only David stayed at the peak. David stood under a tree, yelling at me that it was dangerous and that I should come down, but I ignored him. I grabbed onto a branch, my whole body nearly airborne, but still, I stretched my arm to send up the knot. Boom! A lightning bolt struck right at the tree. Crack! The branch broke, and I fell suddenly. I thought I'd hit the ground hard and get seriously injured, but the pain I expected never came. Instead, I heard a muffled grunt. Turned out David had caught me. Our eyes met, and his were filled with anger like I'd never seen. Do you like me that much? Enough to risk your life? I looked into his reddened eyes and was speechless. I never said I liked him. Everything I did was to cut the ties of fate between us. Seeing I didn't respond, David's eyes flickered, anger fading, growing softer in tone. Are you finally afraid? Don't be this reckless next time. Let's go home. He grabbed my hand firmly and led me down without listening. I looked at our joined hands, at the 2 strands remaining at the red thread's end. One was for Candy's family, and the other for David. Soon, I'd be able to leave. Once we got back to Candy's place, dinner was already on the table. I was about to quietly head to the basement when Ken called out. Where do you think you're going? Come eat. I paused, unsure of what Ken was up to, but obediently sat at the table. Ken rarely showed a good face. To my surprise, he placed a shrimp in my bowl. Today you did a good job blessing Carrie. If you treat her well in the future, I'll try to be a good brother to you. Looking at the shrimp was just so ironic. I'm allergic to shrimp. Seeing I didn't start eating, Ken eventually lost patience and shattered my bowl on the ground, spitting ungrateful. The Candy family doesn't owe you. Eat or get out. Around us, Carrie watched smugly, and Candy's mother looked disappointed. It was as if by not eating the shrimp, I'd committed an unforgivable crime. Glancing at the red thread almost split, I knew I couldn't leave yet. I silently recited a calming mantra, bent down, and popped the dirty shrimp in my mouth. The dining room echoed with my crunching until suddenly, hives spread across my skin, face, and body. Candy's mother shrieked, allergic. Get the meds. I saw Ken standing there, struck dumb. They forgot the Candy family is allergic to seafood, except for the fake daughter, Carrie. Even if it was Ken's fault, he flushed with anger and muttered, allergic. Don't you know how to speak? Not letting it go, Candy's mother scolded, Ken, watch your tone as a brother. She didn't mean to, and you shouldn't be so intense. Then she turned, softening towards me, don't blame your brother. He meant well. Go take your meds and rest. I'll have someone bring you porridge. I said nothing, bearing the itch, went to apply ointment in the basement. 2 days later, the hives faded. David visited while I was sunning in the yard. He held a beautifully wrapped box, but I told him Carrie and Ken were out and might return soon. Instead, he handed me the box, slightly awkward. "This is for you." I took it, finding a stunning gemstone bracelet inside. Nice but useless to me. I couldn't owe David more or complicate things. I just wanted to break our ties, go back to training. I was about to decline when he cleared his throat. "Accept it. You've done so much for me. That cheap red thread has been on you for 3 years. And this bracelet is much prettier." I sighed, ready to push the box back, when Carrie and Ken's car roared in. As they approached, Ken grinned and said, "This is the one Carrie always wanted." "Well done, a true fiancé." Carrie gleefully took the box. "Thank you, David." He said nothing, just frowned. But I cut in. "The bracelet suits you." David glared at me, then grinned suddenly, tousling Carrie's hair. "Of course, it's for you. Go dress up. I'll take you out." As they left, David's smile vanished. "Candy, you like me, right? I give you gifts, but you just let others have them. Are you crazy or hiding something?" My heart raced. I shook my head. "No, nothing like that. I just don't need the bracelet." David's face stayed dark. "Then what do you want? You can't like me and not want anything in return." He then added, "I'm marrying Carrie. Even if you were meant to marry me, I can't." I gazed into his eyes and carefully said, "Before you get married, let me do something for you." "Anything?" David was taken aback. I feared rejection and added, "Anything. Just let me repay this debt." His face shifted, his tall frame leaning closer. "You don't mean being my woman, do you?" I instinctively stepped back, shook my head. "I'm not like Carrie." David's face softened and he chuckled. "Jealous, are you?" Warm hands ruffled my hair. I sighed in futility, spotting Ken's sleeve from the corner of my eye. Sure enough, after David left, Ken stormed in, filled with fury, dragged into the bathroom, with the door locked behind. I got slammed into the bathtub. Ice-cold water poured down on me. "How many times have I told you?" The tub's overflowing. Ken wasn't done. He held my head under the water. Bubbles rose as I clawed at the tub edge. In that struggle, I noticed another thread on the red string break. Finally, it snapped. From that moment on, I had no ties with my family, finally free to fight back. I twisted his hand holding my hair, flinging him aside. He crashed with a scream, face twisted in pain. I could finally show how I really felt, looking down at him with disgust. "Coward. You like Carrie, jealous of David, but you're too scared to admit it. Instead, you take it out on me. Is this all you've got?" Ken's face showed his panic, but he still tried to act tough. "Stop talking nonsense. I'm just teaching you a lesson. Stop chasing your sister's fiancé." I let out a cold laugh and walked off. For a few days, Ken didn't bother me. Then it was time for Carrie and David's wedding photo shoot. Carrie insisted I come. "Sis, I want you to witness my happiness." I looked at David. "Seeing you take photos with Carrie. Is this really the last thing you want from me?" David didn't answer, just turned away. I took that as a yes and got in the car with them. But the whole way, I felt uneasy. Sure enough, at the crossroad ahead, 2 figures darted into view. The screech of brakes was deafening. The driver swerved, crashing through the barrier. Airbags deployed. The car rolled several times, finally stopping, with flames licking the rear. Gas dripped steadily. I shattered the glass and crawled out, wincing in pain, popping my dislocated arm back, dragging the injured driver to safety. I went back for David, each breath choking with blood. But David, seeing me, said, "Candy, save Carrie first. That's the last thing I want from you." My head buzzed. Using my last ounce of strength, I dragged Carrie and David out. The vehicle exploded behind me, the blast knocking me down. Before darkness closed in, I saw the red string on my wrist break completely. In the quiet beep of the machines, how long had I been in darkness? Finally, I opened my eyes. David was by my side, his eyes red, stubbled jaw. Seeing me awake brought him joy. "You've been out for half a month. Glad you're back." Half a month had passed. My stiff neck turned to my wrist. Bare. The red string was really gone. It wasn't a dream. I tried to speak, but my throat ached. "So why are you here?" David paused, clearing his throat. "You saved us. So I'm grateful." "Good to know." I glanced at my wrist, empty now. The red string was gone. I could go back. Never see him again. In the hospital, I found peace. No one bothered me. The red string had broken. I didn't need to please anyone. Just needed to get better. So my mentor wouldn't worry. The day before their wedding, I left the hospital. Back to the family, I called my mentor. Master, my ties are severed. I'll return tomorrow. Good child. You've endured enough. His voice was old slow, but it steadied me. My nose stung with tears, but I held them back. Tomorrow, I'll come home for good. Just then, David spoke from behind. What do you mean leaving? Tomorrow's our wedding. I hung up, wiping away tears. Facing him again. My voice was cold. Is there something you need? David seemed confused. Silent for a bit. I want you at our wedding. See us happy. A stranger's wedding needs me? I touched my wrist empty. No. The last thing you wanted is done. I won't attend. David looked blank for a moment. Maybe because this was my first refusal. He avoided my eyes and left. I thought I'd leave peacefully. But that night, the dark basement was bustling. Sis, come to the wedding tomorrow. I want your blessing. Maybe you won't see me. But don't you want to see David? I kept my face blank. I wish you well. But I don't want to see you or David. Carrie hadn't left when Ken appeared. Just like before. Handing me a dress, sounding awkward. They owe you their lives. You have to go. This is the dress. Don't embarrass us. Still I refused. Not going won't disgrace us. Ken fumed. Don't think you can act high and mighty. You have to go. He even tried to grab me. But Mom stepped between us. Carrie beside her. Don't you have decency as a brother? Candy, listen. Tomorrow isn't just Carrie's wedding. David owes you. Tomorrow we'll find you a match. Your reputation was bad before. This chance is rare. Looking at the three of them, I felt nothing. If my reputation is so bad, let's just break ties. Mom trembled, tearful. Candy, you're my daughter. A piece of my flesh. Her eyes suddenly turned red. Sis, do you still like David? But David doesn't like you. Forcing something won't end well. Before he could finish, I cut him off. This has nothing to do with David. I looked straight at Mom and Ken, asking once more, if we're breaking family ties, I won't be your daughter, or your sister. So can I skip the wedding then? Ken lost it upon hearing that. He threw the dress on the floor, sarcastically angry. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You think pretending to cut ties with us will make Carrie give up David for you? I'm telling you, keep dreaming. You want to sever ties? Go ahead. I'd love to see how you do without the family. With that, he slammed the door, pulling Carrie along. Mom just gave me a disappointed look and followed. She didn't say anything, but her silence spoke volumes. Fine, it's settled then. We're no longer family. The three of them paused, but no one turned back. The next day, the wedding procession from David's family arrived quickly. I changed back into my dark blue hemp robe, took nothing with me, and left empty-handed, just like when I first came here 3 years ago. I made a point to sneak out the back door, but unexpectedly ran into David. He approached, looking unhappy. Why are you dressed like that? And where's the red string that was on your wrist? I followed his gaze and calmly said, it snapped. David visibly panicked, suddenly speaking as if desperate. If you keep liking me as much as you show, I'll let you stay by my side. It was weird hearing David talk like that, like he was grasping at me, knowing today might be our last encounter. Yet I wasn't interested in an argument. I smiled and pointed behind him. Your bride is over there. She's waiting for you. David glanced back, seeing Carrie in her white wedding gown, eyes full of tears. He changed his expression fast and said, since you're not coming to the wedding, wait for me at home. When it's over, we'll talk. Then he hurried to Carrie. The luxury car slowly drove on, wedding march playing all the way. I watched the tail of the car, then turned to head the opposite way. Goodbye, David. Our ties are severed. Karma fulfilled. Never meeting again might be the best for us. David looked at Candy's empty seat, lost in thought. 1,000 ideas flashed in his mind. He suppressed his growing unease, stubbornly convincing himself Candy just couldn't handle him marrying Carrie. It's fine, he thought. After the wedding, he'd explain it all to her. Carrie glanced down the path of his gaze, caught a glimpse of Candy's former seat. Her eyes darkened slightly, but she still put on a forced smile. David, what are you looking at? He snapped back, feeling uneasy for a moment, but quickly composed himself. Smiling at Carrie, nothing, let's continue. He assumed Candy would show up once the wedding ended, But as the last guest left, Candy was still nowhere to be seen. Finally, he couldn't hold back his anxiety. He found Ken drunk in a corner, still trying to drink straight from a wine bottle. Ken's face was flushed to his neck, eyes misty. Still he grabbed David's collar. Slurring, "Carrie's my most precious sister. You better treat her right. Love her well, or you'll answer to me." David ignored his words, clutching his wrist urgently asking, "Where's Candy? Did you come with her? Do you know where she went?" Ken just stared blankly for a moment, then suddenly stood up, shoving David. "You're asking about Candy? You married Carrie, now treat her right. Why are you asking about other women? Don't think I don't know what you're planning, David. You want both, huh? Well, you can't. Candy already cut ties with us. So I only have one daughter. Only one sister now." David's ears buzzed at cut ties, grabbing the unstable Ken's collar, eyes filled with urgency. "What do you mean cut ties? What happened?" he asked as if realizing something, roughly pushing Ken against the wall, face hardening. "What about Candy? Why cut ties? Did you hit her again? Ken, she's your sister. How can you do this over and over?" Maybe it was something David said. Ken started laughing with a hoarse voice. "Sister? She's no shameless brat of mine. You know she's always like you? Jealous of Carrie, didn't want you two married. We asked her to come to the wedding, and she said she'd only come if we cut ties with her. Huh. I'll see just how a runaway jailbird survives without this family. Not 3 days, and she'll be back crying to me." Ken's reddened eyes were full of anger, words full of insults. David didn't care for them. Rushing out of the wedding grounds, he drove, searching all the way toward the city, but found no trace of Candy. She'd only been out of jail a month. Where could she have gone? David frowned, slightly regretting. If only he had paid more attention to her during the ceremony, maybe they wouldn't be in this mess. What if she had been the bride? Would she have stayed? He was thinking as he mindlessly reached the spot of last incident. The broken railing was repaired now. Underneath, the trees still showed the scars from falling vehicles. David stopped the car, walking down step by step. Candy loved him so much. Even injured, she came to save him. She even listened to his plea to rescue Carrie first. How could she leave? How would she bear to leave? David paused mid-step. A thought suddenly crossed David's mind. There aren't many places Candy could be. Could she be waiting for him up ahead? With that thought, David picked up his pace. The sky was getting darker. The entire forest was eerily quiet. Not even a bird chirping. "Candy, Candy, are you here?" For some reason, David felt a chill down his back. His shoulders seemed heavy. There's a dull ache at his temples. He shook his head and stubbornly moved forward. Suddenly he stepped on something. Immediately, he felt every hair on his body stand on end. It sent shivers down his spine. He swallowed hard. Slowly he lifted his foot. Half buried in the dirt lay a piece of red string. David, suppressing the weight he felt, bent down to pick it up. The end of the string was uneven. It looked like it had been worn down slowly over many years. There were burn marks on it, likely from a vehicle explosion. It was Candy's bracelet. It might still be fixable. He thought about giving it back to her next time they meet. She'd definitely be thrilled. With this in mind, he carefully placed the red string in his jacket pocket. The oppressive weight on him vanished. He felt noticeably lighter. He had no idea this was the last time this destiny would protect him. Meanwhile, Candy had just woken up, drinking bowl after bowl of tea. The legendary healer, who refused to leave the mountains for any reason, watched her with a warm smile. All right, slow down." His hair and beard were all white, but he stood straight without a hunch. His face was wrinkled, but his eyes were bright and clear, not a hint of tiredness. His vitality was far beyond that of ordinary people. Looking at the Taoist priest who had raised her, the cloud hanging over Candy's mind finally cleared. She took a deep breath and leaned on her grandfather's knee. All her feelings boiled down to one simple statement. "Grandpa, I missed you so much." His aged hand patted her head. "It's all in the past now. Now that things with Ken are settled, Candy is free. I've healed your knee. From now on, you should just focus on training here. Don't worry about the mundane world." Candy sat up straight and nodded solemnly. The next day at the villa, Carrie, the new bride, sat on the sofa crying nonstop. Her mom hugged her, gently comforting her. "All right, Carrie, stop crying. You and David are married now. You've got a long journey ahead of you. No need to rush things." Ken, who had a hangover, was pacing angrily in the living room with his hands on his hips. I seriously don't get it. What the heck is wrong with David? It's his wedding night, and instead of being with his new wife, he's in the study fiddling with some bracelet? I think he's lost it, gone nuts, or been bewitched. Who knows what kind of charm that Candy has put on him? That girl. When she gets back, I'm definitely giving her a piece of my mind. But Carrie started crying even harder after hearing this. Through tears, she sobbed, Mom, Ken, do you think? When Sis said she wanted to cut ties with the family before she'd attend the wedding, could it be that she already had a plan? Mom raised an eyebrow, puzzled. A plan for what? Carrie wailed. Maybe she planned to ditch us and run off with David. That statement hit Ken like a ton of bricks. His fist slammed into the door frame, cursing, what a piece of work she is. I knew there was no way she'd give up our family's wealth and break ties. Turns out, she's still after David. Mom looked equally disgusted. A wild girl like her would only embarrass us. Once she's back, we need to straighten her out. Don't want her doing anything dishonorable that'd bring us shame. Then with her face full of sympathy she cuddled Carrie. The heart and soul of mine. Don't be sad, sweetheart. Ken looked at Carrie's distressed expression, feeling a painful sting in his heart. This was his precious little sister, his pride and joy. How dare Candy make Carrie so upset? His anger grew. Ignoring the throbbing pain in his right hand, he turned towards the door with resolve. But his mom called him back. Where do you think you're going? Ken was seething. I'm gonna find that shameless Candy and drag her back. We can't have her ruining Carrie's happiness. No need for that, his mom disapproved, her face hardening. Let her experience hardship outside. Even if David's being stubborn, his family has dignity. When she broke ties, she was so tough, right? Let's see how long she can keep it up. Yeah, let her starve a bit out there. She needs to learn just how good she had it with us. Ken returned in frustration. No one noticed that Carrie, in her mom's arms, had a twisted, eerie smile. Another face, like it was breaking free from a cage, interchanged with Carrie's face. And that face resembled the girl who died 3 years ago in the accident caused by Carrie. On another side, David spent all night fixing the broken red string. As soon as he headed downstairs, he stumbled upon Carrie's tear-filled eyes. He paused. Why are you crying, Carrie? Carrie sniffled, wiping away non-existent tears with forced resilience. Her glance fell on the red string in his hand, her gaze venomous. Nothing, I just visited my mom. I couldn't help getting emotional now that I'm married. Is that the red string my sister used to wear? David's eyes softened as he looked at it. Images of Candy's fair face and those bright, mismatched eyes came to mind. By the way, did you see Candy when you went home? Carrie halted slightly, her expression shifting into one of near tears. No, my sister left home and didn't come back all night. We have no idea where she is now. Mom and Ken are really worried. I guess she's mad at me. She sniffled pitifully. David helped her onto the couch and gently reassured her. It's okay. We grew up together. I've always thought of you like a real sister. If the seer hadn't said marrying you was the only way to break our family's curse, I wouldn't have put you through this. Don't worry, once it's over, I'll make it right. We'll talk it out with Candy together. He was able to understand. Carrie watched him with deep affection when he mentioned Candy. Her hands, hidden by her side, were almost tearing her skirt to pieces. David, do you really like my sister? David thought of Candy, who always lowered her head but was willing to do anything for him, and his heart softened. A slight smile appeared on his face. Maybe. Carrie's eyes suddenly turned red, and she grabbed his hand. But I like you too, David. I know I took my sister's place and lived the life meant for her, but I had no choice. I truly like you. David's smile faded, but he still reached out to pat her head. Carrie, I've always seen you as a sister. With those words, he got up and left, not noticing Carrie's twisted face behind him. He thought of Candy being alone and vulnerable out there. He wanted to find her quickly so she wouldn't suffer. But every person he sent out came back empty-handed. Half a month passed, and Candy was still nowhere to be found. Not even a word from her. Now, not only was David worried, but even the rest of the family couldn't sit still. Ken stormed in angrily. David, where did you hide Candy? I warned you. Since you married Carrie, you have to treat her well forever. Hiding Candy away. Are you trying to hoard her like a secret mistress, so you can enjoy both? These words made David's brows furrow, full of impatience. What nonsense are you spouting? I'm also looking for Candy. but there's no sign of her. I should be asking if you locked her up again. Watch your mouth and stop shifting blame. Frank snapped back defiantly. David let out a cold laugh. Don't think I don't know how your family treated her. I've been investigating her whereabouts and found out a lot about her situation at home and how you treated her, he said, glaring at Ken with disdain. Our family's treatment of her is none of your business. Just remember that Carrie is your wife. Besides, everything we did was for her own good. Rules are rules, and letting her run wild after you isn't it. Or is it that you want to have your cake and eat it too? Ken couldn't finish before he took a solid punch to the face. After searching for more than half a month with no success, if Candy wasn't hidden away, it only left one possibility. Candy was truly missing. Shut your mouth, David warned. If something happens to Candy, I swear I won't let you or anyone else off the hook. You better hope she's safe and sound. Although David was usually nonchalant, he rarely showed such fierce determination. Ken was stunned silent, taking a long pause before muttering, "What could happen to her? She's just a penniless girl. Who would want anything from her?" Despite his words, David had lost the desire to continue arguing. He strode out, phone in hand, calling his assistant. "Check where Candy was before she returned home. I need her full details." Half a month later, Candy, wearing a navy blue robe and carrying a medicine basket, came down from the mountain delightedly. As she approached, she noticed a row of luxury cars parked not far away. It wasn't unusual. Every year countless wealthy people came to see her grandfather for fortune-telling or life-saving medicine. Those reaching this place were filled with desires, yet often left unfulfilled. She paid little mind, making her way inside until a tall figure blocked her path. "Candy, I found you." Candy didn't expect David to find her here. Looking at him, she felt no emotion, only sighed out of routine. "Go back. Grandfather won't see you." Now seeing David's sharp-featured face just brought regret. She returned home to help the family through hardship and repay gratitude and kindness. But it shouldn't have taken over 3 years and so much struggle. Simply helping David resolve his karmic burdens and stopping the marriage with Carrie would have sufficed. But she chose to wear herself out with small issues, leaving nothing in the end. Her family could have thrived under her protection, even overshadowed David's family after their fall, but they didn't. Instead, they subjected her to false imprisonment and humiliation, one incident after another, reaching absurd extremes. She endured it all, exhausting her fortune. Looking at David now, she only saw doom circling him. Candy shook her head. Let karma take its course. Everyone has their path. Thinking that, she no longer looked at David and walked straight into the gate. As she passed by him, he grabbed her wrist. "Candy, this time you went too far, severing ties and running away. Do you know how worried we were over this past month?" Candy, expressionless, brushed off his hand. "I now have nothing to do with you. Your concern is unnecessary." The words he was about to say were stuck in his throat. David didn't expect that in just over a month, Candy would feel like such a stranger to him. He suddenly felt disoriented. Was the person before him really the Candy who once declared her love for him and put him above all else? His lips trembled. After a long time, he could only ask, "What do you mean? Nothing to do with you? Didn't you say you liked me? You did so much for me. How can we say we're not connected at all? I know you like me. Because I married Carrie, you're upset. I understand your frustration and anger. I can explain. I married her with a purpose. Once it's done, I'll divorce her and make it right with you. I know saying this might seem sudden, but I think I really like you. But I don't like you." A calm statement stopped all of David's longing. You don't like me? How can you not like me?" At this stage, Candy decided to lay it all out. She said the reason she came back was to repay a favor, to cut ties. "Maybe you don't remember, but years ago, you did save me. I came to you to try helping you, to relieve you from bad karma. But you had me do a lot of unnecessary things. In any case, we're done. No more ties." Listening to her words, David's eyes reddened. He trembled, as if he couldn't believe his ears. "You're saying you never liked me? You came to me to end things, not to." The rest caught in his throat. He couldn't speak. Yet Candy didn't let him off, her heterochromatic eyes direct and straightforward. "I clung to you not to be with you, but to separate completely." David wobbled, shaking his head slowly, not wanting to believe. He grabbed Candy's hand, not wanting to let go. That's not it, Candy. That's not it. You're just mad, right? You have to be. I was supposed to marry you. Carrie took everything from you. But Candy had no more patience and pulled her hand away, indifferent and distant. Don't bother me anymore. To me, you're the same as my mother can even carry. You're just karmic ties that I couldn't untangle. I gave you opportunities, helped you with what you wanted to do. Don't come after me anymore. She turned and walked towards the mountain. Yet David, in disbelief, pulled a red string from his pocket, offering it like a treasure. Candy, he shouted. Look, it's the red string you used to wear. After the accident, it broke, but I fixed it. I wanted to return it. Hearing this, Candy started to run. The next morning, Candy rose early for her studies, thinking she'd made herself clear before. David, being so proud, should be thoroughly disappointed, lose interest, and stop pursuing her. To her surprise, when she disappeared into the mountains, David was waiting at the foot. The prestigious cars were gone, leaving him alone with cigarette butts at his feet. His eyes ringed with exhaustion, red and bloodshot, stubble darkening his chin, making him look worn. Seeing Candy, a small smile spread across his face as he pulled the string from his pocket again. Candy, you're here. This string, seeing it made Candy remember all the times she was mocked, forced to take the blame, humiliated, beaten, locked up without food. Instinctively, she stepped back, her eyes full of apparent disgust. David, seemingly hurt by her look, trembled, eyes filled with fragile confusion. Why is someone who would risk everything for her just a month ago suddenly so cold? Seeing his confusion, Candy coldly spoke. This red string symbolizes my karma with you and that family. After the car accident that saved you and Carrie, everything was severed. Bound by it, I had no choice but to follow you, willingly doing anything you asked without resistance. It was because of this that I agreed to take the blame for Carrie. Because of this, I willingly went into that asylum, even with the torturous electric shocks, never resisting. Do you think it's because I liked you? No, I just wanted to be free of you. So stop doing meaningless things. Clicking, David struggled to take a step forward, disbelief in his eyes. How could you suffer electric shocks? I sent you to the asylum to protect you. Who knew Ken would turn crazy and do what he did? I told them to take good care of you. Candy lowered her eyes, her voice emotionless, simply stating facts. They did take good care of me. I was shocked until I fainted, woken up with cold water, over and over, until unconsciousness. That's how they took care of me. Thank you. Because of you and your simple, ineffective requests, our karma cut off faster. With that, Candy turned and walked away. Behind her, there was a thud as something heavy hit the ground. She turned to find David collapsed. Candy felt a surge of helplessness. David was destined not to die. If she left him here, it would create a whole new karmic cycle. So she dragged him to an old courtyard at the foot of the mountain she shared with Sam, her old Taoist mentor. 3 hours later, David lay with acupuncture needles all over his back, even in crown points on his head and soles. Once she finished needling, Sam, the old Taoist, stroked his white goatee, smiling in praise. Not bad, not bad. I worried you regressed while away, but didn't expect your acupuncture to be this skilled. The young can surprise us. Candy smiled. In those 3 years, even in jail, I helped Minnie with massage and healing. I even formed good relations from it. Though Candy's family, thinking she suffered there, didn't realize her life in jail was much better than at home. Despite dealing initially with those holding grudges against Carrie, smashing her kneecaps, her time there in terms of food, accommodations, and people far exceeded anything she'd known at home. So when he got out of prison, he kept himself looking skinny and didn't treat his leg injury. He didn't want people to think he was living it up too comfortably and cause more trouble. In fact, his medical skills didn't fall behind. Instead, they got faster because he saw more patients. As they say, misfortune and fortune lean on each other. Blessings and woes are intertwined. And sometimes you benefit from a disaster. Old Taoist priest Sam frowned as he looked at the creepy aura around David. He curiously nudged Candy with his elbow. You were down the mountain for 3 years. Besides going to prison, didn't they have you do anything else? Why does his karma keep getting heavier? Talking to the Taoist grandpa who raised him, Candy wasn't so cautious. He bluntly said, didn't do anything right, just got into a mess. After thinking for a moment, he added, Maybe that's the real reason why my family's fortunes are almost gone. Just thinking about that brat Ken made Candy shake his head. If Candy's family really did get a step up and handed things over to someone like Ken, it'd be a disaster. All bark and no bite and reckless. That's just a recipe for disaster. How could a family have hope with such an heir? While lost in thought, he heard David cough a bit. Candy turned to see that he had woken up. Taoist Sam tapped his head lightly and said with a laugh, "Hey kid, remember me? I held you when you were little." David looked astonished. He had no idea who the old man in front of him was. Sam didn't mind. He just laughed. "Doesn't matter if you don't remember. If it weren't for me stepping in because you saved Candy back in the day, you'd be dead by now. I didn't directly save you, but I did give you a chance." Sam gave Candy a quick look before continuing, "But you didn't treasure it and blew it." After saying that, he lazily sat in a chair, uncorked his gourd, and took a sip. David frowned deeply and looked at Candy with questioning eyes. But Candy didn't plan to explain anything. David had no choice but to put up with his discomfort and look back at Sam. "Who are you? I don't remember meeting you. What's this about giving me a chance?" David asked with an unfriendly tone. Candy slightly frowned. "This old man is the miracle healer your grandpa wanted to see and couldn't for 3 days. Also my master." Hearing this, David's face changed. With all the fake spiritual masters making noise lately, the old man seemed ordinary. Suspicion cropped up in his heart, but he forced himself to get out of bed and apologize. "Sorry, I didn't realize who you were. I hope you won't take offense." Sam casually waved his hand. "You're a dying man. Why would I argue with you?" David froze, his face turned pale. "Dying man? What do you mean? Please explain." Sam didn't say more, just gazed out at the mountain view, and took another sip of his drink. Candy shot him a look and said, "You're already heavy with karma, and now you've married a troublemaker wife, so you don't have much time left." "Troublemaker? You mean Carrie?" David frowned, confused. Candy didn't bother answering directly. Instead he asked, "Did you really forget 3 years ago why I went to prison for Carrie?" David felt his heart stop for a moment. They seemed to really forget that it was Candy who took the hit for Carrie going to jail, as Carrie's crime was reckless driving causing death. The person she killed was one of David's admirers too. David struggled to breathe. Sure, Candy did 3 years for Carrie, but that didn't change the fact Carrie was a killer. Even though it was just 3 years through Candy's family's maneuvering, a life was still lost. But do ghosts and gods really exist? He glanced at Candy, a trace of pain in his eyes. "Candy, Carrie didn't mean it. I know you're upset I made you take her place, but back then, there was no other choice. Please, can you just come back with me? I'm sure you guys can clear this misunderstanding." Looking at David, Candy's face gradually turned cold. "Some things you just can't change," he replied. 10 minutes later, David was tossed at the mountain's entrance. Word had already reached Candy's family that David found him here. The two places weren't far. Not long after David was thrown out, a line of luxury cars pulled up next to him. Ken stormed out furious. "Where's Candy? Thinks he's got big brains now, running away? I want to see how tough he is." Furious, Ken looked at David, then toward the mountain entrance without asking more. He stormed towards it, but before he could make it up a few steps, a shadow blocked him. He looked up to see it was Candy. "This is sacred ground. You can't just waltz in," Candy said coldly, with no expression. Seeing Candy's demeanor, Ken got even angrier. "Sacred ground my ass, stop pretending. You're itching for a fight." Like always, he raised a hand to hit. But this time, before he could touch Candy, his wrist got caught. Ken felt like a vice had clamped onto him and couldn't break free. In front of him was this petite girl, but she had incredible strength. Losing face and authority, his eyes turned red with anger. "You're out of line. Let me go." He stubbornly lifted his other hand, and slap. A loud slap echoed at the entrance, leaving Ken stunned. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined Candy daring to hit him. You actually dared to hit me?" Before Ken could finish his sentence, 2 more loud slaps landed on his face, and it started to swell up. Ken's mom, seeing this, shouted angrily, "How dare you? You ungrateful brat. How can you hit your brother?" She started to move forward, but Candy just gave her a cold look, and she stopped in her tracks. She couldn't quite describe the feeling. It was like a chill running from the soles of her feet straight to the top of her head. freezing her in place like an icicle. But more than fear, she was shocked. How did the timid Candy, who had taken every insult and beating for 3 years, suddenly gain such an imposing presence? Could it be true that he really was the little master of those purple-robed masters? Were they not frauds? But how was that even possible? He was so young. How could he have such deep skills in Taoism? Candy withdrew his gaze and kicked Ken down from the hill gate. He pulled out a handkerchief, wiped his hands, and his clear voice rang out for all to hear. Mrs. Ken, young Master Ken, I have left Candy's family now. There is no daughter or sister for you here anymore. So I suggest you behave yourselves. If you try to force your way in again, don't blame me for not holding back. Once he finished, he flicked his sleeve, ready to turn and leave. Ken's mom, who had always pretended to be kindly and loving, suddenly changed her expression. Stop right there. You keep stopping us from going up the mountain. Is it because you conned someone and are afraid you'll be found out? You didn't just hire actors to put on a show and ruin your sister's wedding, but you also dare to spout nonsense here. Are you trying to ruin the Candy family? How could I have a daughter like you? Come back with us right now and apologize to your sister. Candy halted, his cold gaze falling on Ken's mom. He looked at this elegant woman who shared 8/10 of his looks, and found her face nothing but hideous. Apologize? For what? You're the one who switched babies 23 years ago. And it was Carrie who killed someone 3 years ago. If I did anything wrong, it was being born from your womb. Ken's mom nearly fainted from anger, and Ken's chest heaved with rage, his face furious. He remembered when Ken's mom was pregnant with his sister. He would talk to her belly every day. Sister, I'm your brother. You better not be naughty in mom's belly. When you're born, I'll give you all my snacks and toys. I'll buy you lots of dolls and pretty clothes to make you a little princess. Brother loves sister the most. Even their usually stern father would often look at her growing belly with a gentle smile, let alone their mother, who always wanted a daughter. Their whole family was so looking forward to her arrival. And now he says he was born into the wrong family? It's outrageous. Forgetting the lesson he just learned, Ken rushed forward again to teach Candy a lesson. But before he could even get close, he was thrown back down to the ground, disheveled and ashamed. Raising his eyes, he saw a golden light surrounding Candy, making him look almost divine and untouchable. In an instant, an incredible thought struck them. Could Candy have been telling the truth all along? Could he really have saved David back then? Is he actually a disciple of the divine healer, the uncle master of the purple-robed masters? While they were lost in thought, Candy's figure had already disappeared. Only the family left, staring at each other. And a pensive David. Maybe they were wrong from the start, mistaking a pearl for ordinary wood. Ken's mom's lips trembled. Looking at Ken on the ground, tears welled up. Ken, tell me, did I really make a mistake? Is Candy mad at me? Mad at me? But what did I do wrong? I loved her so much. I didn't mean to switch the babies. As soon as I found out the mistake, I immediately started looking for her. When I found her, I couldn't wait to bring her back. But instead, she couldn't stand to leave. An old fortune teller. Even called him Grandpa. She didn't care at all for our family's ancestors. And the moment she returned, she schemed to steal Carrie's fiancé. Both are my children. But why couldn't she be sensible like Carrie? She's always scheming and competing, doing things that embarrassed herself. I asked her to take the fall for Carrie. Wasn't that for her own good? If she doesn't learn well, how can she become the family's eldest miss? But instead of understanding my good intentions, she resents me. Her mother was heartbroken, nearly crying as she fell apart. Yet, every word painted Candy as the ungrateful one, the image of a selfless mother. And Ken's eyes reddened. He quickly went to help her up. Mom, let's go. A dog that doesn't recognize its owner doesn't deserve our sadness. Let him stay on this mountain if he wants. I refuse to believe someone who doesn't respect his brother and parents will achieve anything great. He spat angrily on the ground as they got back into the car, leaving with a roaring engine. Their words, however, entered Candy's ears perfectly clear. As he stood there fuming, practicing a set of martial arts 18 times in the small courtyard. Yet Grandpa just stroked his white beard, leaning against the railing, watching him with a smile. Candy, what form's this? There's no method to it. Candy's face scrunched up, clenched jaw. This is the woman's slap. The man's dragon palm. Seeing his agitated expression, Grandpa let out a hearty laugh. Keeping it all in isn't the way. Repressed anger can blow up, you know? Candy sat down, sulking beside the Taoist grandpa. So what should I do? A glint of gold passed in Grandpa's eyes. He chuckled, stroking his beard. You should go down the mountain right now. Catch up to them and give them a good beating. Let off some steam. Candy's face cracked a smile. But then I'd become just like them. Return kindness for kindness. What about returning goodwill? Find your clarity. And your soul, Candy. Living is about. Gotta stay true to myself. Candy nodded in agreement. So on the winding mountain road, their car ran into a group of monkeys. Some had stones, others had branches, and they just went wild on the car. Ken got dragged out of the vehicle by the screeching monkeys and got a good thrashing. Even his crying mom got 2 good slaps from an angry mama monkey. After all the chaos, the monkeys scattered and ran off. Not a single fur strand was found. Meanwhile, in Candy's little yard, there were 2 big baskets full of fresh peaches. The monkeys, who'd been all wild before, lined up politely to get their reward. The Monkey King gestured and hollered, acting out everything that happened. Candy couldn't help but laugh. He patted the Monkey King's head, exhaled deeply, and felt a weight lift off his chest. Grandpa was right after all. Having a clear mind really does make you feel better. Meanwhile, King got home and started smashing things. His body was full of red scratch marks from the monkeys. He looked like he had an accident. He was so angry with no way to vent. The staff in the villa were all terrified, not daring to say a word. Just then Carrie walked in with a medical kit. She maneuvered through the mess, sat next to Ken, and took his hand, looking all sad and guilty. It's my fault for making Sis mad and getting you hurt, she sobbed. Is she really not coming back? Doesn't she care about you at all? While tearing up, Carrie took out some alcohol pads with tweezers and gently dabbed Ken's wounds. Even though Ken was in pain, he held it all in without a word. I wish Candy was half as sensible as you, he sighed, holding on to Carrie's hand tightly. Is Sis really not coming back? Should I beg her personally? She's the real family. Even if I have to kneel, I'll do anything for her forgiveness. Seeing her looking all upset and guilty, Ken felt a pang at his heart. He quickly hugged her, just like when they were kids, and whispered comfort. No need for guilt, Carrie. Her not being here is fine. One daughter's enough. After all, being raised beats being born. Ken spoke seriously, making sure she felt loved. In Ken's embrace, Carrie grinned slyly. No way did she want Candy back. She'd rather Candy disappear forever. Candy sneezed, sniffled, then took a big bite of the peach with a monkey next to her. Whoever was thinking about her didn't matter. With her knee fully healed, she started practicing again. Unexpectedly, David, who should have left with the others, returned to the yard. Standing by the tree, he watched Candy, feeling both familiar and foreign. It seemed he never really knew her at all, both past and present. He remembered the light reflecting on her pale face by the pool, those eyes so clear yet mismatched brown and black. He recalled every time their gazes met, every silent affection she held. He once thought Candy was head over heels for him, but now, the doubt gnawed at him. Watching her fluid, powerful movements, a bitter feeling welled up. If he didn't say something now, there might never be another chance. Holding back the emotions, he approached. Candy, can we talk? Candy knew he was there, but didn't care. The debt of gratitude owed was repaid 13 years ago, with no need for further ties. Watching obliviously as Ken approached, she let the wind of her fists keep him at bay. Despite his high-class upbringing with skills in combat, her moves seemed slow yet powerful, effortlessly countering him. If only I hadn't canceled the engagement with Candy, David thought regretfully. Remembering those 99 breakup letters, regret gnawed deeper. Without ending the engagement, he'd have had the real heiress and a med school prodigy of a disciple in the family. But it was too late. Now all he could do was try his best. Candy, Grandpa says I saved you as a kid, but I don't remember. Can you tell me? He hoped that old saving grace would refresh Candy's memory. Even if marriage was out of the question, at least have the legendary healer mend him. However, Candy didn't reply. After completing her martial sequence, she calmed down, turned, and coolly replied, "Forgotten things aren't worth remembering. You saved me, and your debt's repaid. No need bringing it up again. You're leaving, whether you mention it 800 times or not. Don't waste your time." David's face burned red, grinding teeth out of embarrassment. His energy sapped, he softened his tone. Do we really have to talk like this, Candy? Candy's expression stayed distant, without a sliver of concern. There's nothing to discuss. With that, she turned away, leaving David behind like air. Monkeys above, tired of the show, sneakily tossed peach pits at his feet. More followed. He couldn't dodge them all, got hit, and feeling embarrassed, left hastily. Inside the house, Candy watched him go, her eyes thoughtful. The karmic ledger settled, her debt was due. No room for idle bullying. 3 days passed, and Ken's wounds mostly healed to scabs. Suddenly, police barged into the long, quiet villa. Calmly, he buttoned up his shirt and descended the stairs. Who are you guys? We'll let you in. Do you even know where you are? Facing the people who suddenly broke into his house, he felt a moment of panic, but quickly calmed himself down. After all, nothing major had happened at home recently. The police officer in charge just flashed his badge. Hello, we're from the police. We received a report. Carrie was involved in a hit and run 3 years ago. Sentenced to 3 years in prison, but never served time. Instead, someone else did. Please come with us to the station to provide information. Ken was instantly alarmed by this. He loudly objected. That's impossible. 3 years ago it was Candy who hit someone. She already served time in prison. You've got the wrong place, the wrong person. The two officers exchanged a glance. The one who reported this is Candy. You need to come with us right away. Otherwise, we'll have to take action. The complainant is Candy. Ken's eyes widened in disbelief. No way. You guys have got it wrong, officer. Let me tell you, Candy's character is terrible. She loves playing tricks, acting. Jealous as hell. She must be jealous of Carrie. So she filed a false report on purpose. You've got to arrest her, punish her severely. After Ken's outburst, Lena and Carrie came downstairs. Seeing the police, Carrie's face turned pale. She hid behind Lena, looking worried but unable to hide the smugness in her eyes, deliberately stirring the pot. Mom, why are there so many cops here? Did sis get into trouble again? The police noticed her, immediately stepped forward. You're Carrie, right? You're suspected of the hit and run 3 years ago, and bribing officials to escape legal consequences. That's a criminal offense. Please come with us. Hearing that the police were here for her, her face went white as a sheet. The smugness was gone. Speaking in a stutter, Officer, you've got the wrong person, right? I never did a hit and run 3 years ago. You mean my sister? She's already served time. The police had no patience left to explain again. They took hold of her arms and cuffed her. We don't wrongly accuse good people, and we don't let the bad ones go. Whatever you have to say it in the interrogation room. Seeing this, Lena rushed to intervene. What are you doing? That's my daughter. You have no solid evidence. How can you just arrest her? The police, with no choice, raised a hand, keeping him back. We have a report from the victim, Candy. In the report, she mentioned bribing officials, which involves you. Come along. Seeing both Carrie and Lena about to be taken away, Ken got desperate again. He spread his arms to block the door. You can't take them. Candy's the bad one. You should be arresting her. The police ignored him, dodging past him, about to leave. He reached out, grabbing the officer's shoulder. The officer turned back, with a stern look. Are you trying to assault an officer? If you're that unwilling, you can come too. As Carrie and Lena cried out, Ken reluctantly withdrew his hand. Watching helplessly as they were taken away, he lingered outside the station for days, but couldn't even see Lena or Carrie. David's phone was unreachable, and Ken's father was abroad, unable to return. The more he thought, the angrier he got. Drove through the night, stormed into Candy's yard, pushed the door wide open. Candy, like she'd expected him, calmly sat by the table. Candy, are you out of your mind? What are you trying to do? Get Carrie and Mom in jail like you? Candy looked up, gazed at him coolly. Yeah, just like you said. Ken wasn't expecting her to admit it so plainly, his temper rising further. Angrily pointing at Candy, he cursed. If I'd known you were such an animal, I should have dumped you in a ditch back then. Candy smiled unfazed, mockingly, quick to admit it. Not pretending to be the good brother anymore. Lena always thought she lost the child. But that wasn't it, was it? Didn't you purposely leave me in the woods? Why? Jealous of the attention your unborn sister got? Ken, you're always so ridiculous. Ken's hand shook as he pointed, a look of shock in his eyes. You knew. You always knew. You came back for revenge, didn't you? You're here to get back at us. Candy clapped her hands. Stood up scoffing. Was that ever hard to figure out? Carrie was brought back by you. You suggested changing her name too. It's hard to believe you had nothing to do with losing the child. You knew from the start that Carrie wasn't your sister. And you've always hated me. What I'd like to know is, why raise Carrie to be so spoiled? To rely on you so much? Don't tell me you've always liked the sister you brought home? Ken's face flushed with shame and anger. Candy knew the truth about the past. Spilling the beans, he shouted. What do you want? If you've got a problem, it's with me. Mom and Carrie are innocent. Candy sat back down, poured herself some tea. Innocent. I didn't make up the bribery charges. As for Carrie, she was the one who killed someone. You made me take the fall. So I did. But I never said I wouldn't fight for myself. We're done. But there are dues to be settled. After all the humiliation and suffering I endured. As she spoke, her hand dropped to her knee, looking thoughtful. Carrie grew up spoiled by you all. In front of David and you, she's sweet and sensible, always aiming to please. But behind the scenes, who knows how many bad things she's done. I ended up in jail for her. That first night, someone stomped on my knee until it was crushed. They dragged me off the bed, covered my face with a wet towel, silenced me with something in my mouth, and held me down, keeping me from making a sound. Each kick, I could hear the crack of my bones. I still had hope for you back then. I called and asked for help. But what did y'all do? Stayed silent for 3 years. The one who hurt me got more years added to his sentence. He's got about 10 more years before he's out. Now that Carrie is in, she'll be keeping him company. By the time he's out, maybe she won't be. Candy spoke so casually, but Ken felt a chill run down his spine. You really are wicked, he said. I threw you away and was right to do it. Just wish I'd drowned you in the toilet, so you couldn't have grown up and hurt people. Candy let out a cold laugh, but said nothing. She was abandoned, taken back, abused and expected to take the fall. Now she's the one blamed for everything. How does that make sense? She once hoped for love from her parents and siblings. But what did she get? Locked in the basement, blamed for someone else's crimes, beaten and scolded. Why'd she have to suffer? She just set things right. And now they call her wicked. To her master, she had the purest, most perceptive eyes. Yet to her family she's wicked. What a joke. Candy almost felt grateful to Ken for abandoning her. Ken gritted his teeth, reluctantly giving in. Tell me what you want and I'll spare Mom and Carrie. Money, the house, cars, shares in the company, but leave Carrie's share alone. I'll give you mine. Candy chuckled. The reason she returned was to cut ties and focus on her path. Why would she want worldly things? If she truly wanted, her skills could get her more than they could offer. Their meager wealth and silly shares held no appeal. She just wanted justice for what's happened. She's dealt with her karma. Now it's their turn. I want nothing from you. You just need to pay for what you've done, Candy said with chilling ease. Ken felt a sweat chill his back. You really want Carrie in jail? Do you know that would ruin her life? Haven't you done enough by wrecking her wedding? How can you be so cruel? Candy's icy stare pierced him. Carrie's situation is because of you, she said. Ken's fury almost overpowered him, his body trembling. He wished he could treat Candy like he used to, but he knew those days were over. After several deep breaths, he bent his legs and slowly knelt down. Please spare Carrie. I'll do anything, he begged. Candy raised an eyebrow. You really do value her, huh? Too bad. You've got your own debts. You can't pay hers. Instead of bothering me, you should find a legal way to help reduce Carrie's sentence. Ken lowered his head, defeated, and stumbled out of the courtyard, brushing past David at the door, his eyes full of resentment. You think not marrying Carrie means she'll come back? Dream on. She was pretending before. And now she wants payback for us making her take Carrie's place in jail. You won't escape either, he sneered, bumping David's shoulder as he walked past. David turned, meeting Candy's indifferent gaze through the window, and his heart ached. Raised in an environment where everything and everyone had a price, he needed things to have value to be worthwhile. Yet maybe, he really did care for Candy, because the loss of warmth in her gaze was like a knife to his soul. If only he knew earlier, maybe things would have been different. But now, every time he thought about what Candy endured in jail, his heart broke. He was the one to send her there. Her crushed knee, fear, pain. Ken beating her in front of others. Almost assaulted, Why didn't he believe her then? Looking at Candy, pain flickered in his eyes as his hands clenched at his sides, knuckles white, trembling slightly. His lips were pressed tightly into a line. After a long pause, they finally whispered, "Candy, I'm sorry." Candy held his gaze for a moment before shutting the window, without a word. David stood outside, staring at the closed window, feeling a bitterness he couldn't shake. He realized he owed Candy far more than a simple apology, but had no clue how to start making amends. He hesitated, unsure if he should leave. A gentle breeze blew through, carrying Candy's cool voice. "Come in." David paused, then pushed the door open and walked in. Candy sat at the table, pouring tea for the seat opposite her. The dim light flickered over her, making her look especially peaceful. David walked over slowly and sat down across from her. He softly said, "Candy, I know I messed up a lot before." Candy looked up at him, her eyes emotionless. "Let the past stay in the past. You've been sticking around here without leaving these days. What are you really here for?" David pressed his lips together, took a deep breath, and decided to be honest. "I hope you can convince the miracle doctor to treat me. Whatever you want, I'll do my best to make it happen." Candy shook her head slightly, a faint smile on her lips. "David, I've cut ties with you all. I'm focused on my practice now. I thought about helping you before, but you refused. It's too late now." Hearing this, David felt a sharp pain in his heart. He didn't expect that his past refusal would close all future doors. He looked at her earnestly. "Candy, I know I can't make up for the past, but I hope you'll give me a chance to do something for you." Candy was silent for a while before she slowly spoke. "David, if you really want to, then please leave. Don't disturb me anymore. That's the only thing you can do for me." David was stunned. He didn't expect Candy to be so determined. He looked into her eyes, hoping to find a hint of relent, but ended up disappointed. He slowly stood up and said quietly, "Okay, I understand." With that, he turned and left the courtyard. Candy watched his back disappear before calmly looking away. That evening, David went home. No matter what, Carrie was still his wife in name. Their fates were intertwined. He began to hire the best legal team to investigate Carrie's case, hoping to get her a reduced sentence. Meanwhile, Candy continued her practice, living a simple and fulfilling life. Everything seemed to return to how it was 3 years ago, peaceful and happy. But these days didn't last long. One day, Candy was gathering herbs in the mountains when she heard urgent footsteps. She looked up to see several men in black running toward her. Her heart tightened, and she reacted immediately, matching them punch for punch. A knocked-down man in black got back up, spat blood, and sneered. "No wonder the boss spent so much money on this. You're a tough one. But not today." Candy's face turned cold. Her eyes flashed, and in the next round of fighting, she deliberately left an opening. There were too many men in black. They quickly surrounded her. Pretending to be defeated, she was shoved into a black van. A cloth soaked in ether covered her mouth and nose. Candy blinked her eyes slowly, before passing out completely. In a dark, damp basement, Candy slowly opened her eyes. She couldn't mistake the place she was now, having been locked up here by Ken multiple times before. A cold smile played on her lips. Since they wanted to play, she decided to play along. She feigned weakness, struggling to sit up and leaning against the wall for support. Just then, the basement door swung open, and a figure stepped in. He wore a perfectly tailored suit, his hair slicked back, a little stubble on his face, making him look mature and capable. His sharp eyes behind glasses bore an uncanny resemblance to Ken. It was Candy's father, Mike. His expression was complicated, disappointment mingled with anger. "Candy, you have let me down." Mike's voice was deep and stern. "How could you send your mom and sister to jail? The past is done, but if you want compensation, we can negotiate. Even if you like David, I can let you marry him instead of your sister. But now, you even went to the police to overturn your case. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Either you go to the police station and confess it was a false report, or you stay in this basement until your mom and sister return." Before his words settled, Ken rushed in, filled with resentment and anger. "You traitorous beast! You ungrateful wretch! How dare you harm Mom and Carrie? I will teach you a lesson today." With that, Ken swung his fist hard toward Candy. But unfortunately for him, his fist stopped 2 centimeters from Candy's nose. She was already standing, ropes cut into pieces around her. Holding Ken's arm, she calmly looked at Mike. Mike was furious, fire burning in his eyes. He yelled, "Candy, are you rebelling?" Candy's lips curled into a cold smile. She twisted Ken's arm violently, and he screamed, nearly collapsing in pain. "You really thought," Candy said coldly, her voice full of anger and disillusionment. "I let myself get kidnapped just to see if you'd make the same decision as 3 years ago." Mike looked at his daughter in shock. He had seen her only briefly 3 years ago. Then he went abroad. Back then, she was weak and lean, sticking to David like glue, desperate to take her sister's fiancé. He thought she was a nobody, but now Candy was strong and imposing. Candy released Ken, who lay on the ground, groaning in pain, unable to speak. 3 years ago, Mr. Lin only met her briefly, then left for his company overseas. As soon as the men in black appeared, she knew Mike was back. This time, she let herself be kidnapped to meet him face to face. She stepped forward over Ken's twisted body, one odd-colored eye firmly on Mike. His face, strikingly similar to hers, confronted him with slow, deliberate words. "Do you know what happened to me at home or in prison? Did you agree with taking the blame for Carrie?" he asked calmly. Mike turned his head, avoiding his gaze. But Candy didn't give up. Her voice got even stronger. "I just want a straight answer." Mike stayed silent for a long time, facing Candy. The basement was growing more oppressive, like the air itself was frozen. Candy calmly awaited his response. Finally, Mike slowly turned, looking at her with a complex expression, a hint of helplessness in his eyes. "I admit, I wasn't completely in the dark about what happened to you at home." Mike's voice was low and authoritative. "But as the head of the family, I had to consider things." "Your considerations," Candy laughed, lifting her eyes to meet Mike's, filled with disdain. "Your considerations meant sacrificing me to preserve your reputation and wealth." Her growingly strong presence filled the room, and Mike took a deep breath. "Candy, I admit, we didn't think it through when we asked you to take the blame for Carrie. But you only suffered minor physical pain in prison. Look, once you got out, you were still the apple of our eye. You're not like Carrie. She was spoiled from young. But you're strong. Taking the fall for her was the best solution. Even if you have resentment towards Carrie, you shouldn't have lashed out at your mom. She always felt guilty. That's why she wanted to send you to prison to toughen you up, hoping you'd improve." Mike justified himself with every sentence, trying to explain it away. "What do you mean by better?" Candy's voice rose, blazing with anger. "Was it better for me to take the blame and get my knees crushed in prison? Or better to come home and get locked in the basement, eating leftover scraps?" Mike was speechless, his lips pressed tight, frowning deeply. "Did you ever think that I'm your daughter too? Did you think about the girl that Carrie hit and killed? She was someone's daughter as well?" Candy's voice carried a hint of questioning, as annoyance flickered across Mike's eyes. At this moment, Ken clutched his stomach, struggling to get up from the ground, glaring viciously at Candy. "Dad, don't waste time with this heartless girl. Get her to sign the confession and rescue Mom and Carrie." Candy snorted with a cold laugh, brushing away the loose hair by her ear. And on her hairpin, a hidden pinhole camera was quietly recording everything. Mike's eyes chilled, gesturing forward, and the men in black surged toward Candy. In less than 3 minutes, the men in black were sprawled across the basement. Even Mike and Ken were tied up to the side. Candy walked out of the basement, using the villa's landline to call the police. They arrived quickly, taking Mike and Ken into the police car. And those involved in the kidnapping were also arrested. Candy pulled out the pin and handed it to the lead officer. "Officer, here's the evidence I found in the basement. It recorded my kidnapping and violent assault by my father and Ken, and the truth about taking the blame 3 years ago." Candy's voice was calm and steady, her gaze fearless, showing no signs of terror from the recent abduction. This seemingly fragile girl managed to outsmart her kidnappers and capture crucial evidence. Even the police couldn't help but glance at her in awe. They reviewed the footage carefully, frowning more as they watched. The video clearly unfolded, and after viewing it fully, the officer had a stern face. "We will immediately conduct a technical evaluation of this video to ensure its authenticity and completeness," the officer said gravely, with a hint of pity when looking at Candy. "Meanwhile, based on the video clues, we will launch a full investigation into Ken's group. If their actions are indeed criminal, the law will not let it slide." His words were firm, and Candy nodded, "Thank you." Just then the police's phone rang. Candy's hearing was sharp, so even though he tried to avoid it, she heard the conversation. Captain Carey, who committed the hit and run 3 years ago, fell ill in prison. David entered briskly at that moment, his eyes landing on Candy, and the lawyer following him addressed the police. I'm Carey's lawyer, and I request bail pending trial for my client. Given how urgent her condition is, she needs medical attention right away. The timing of these news was so precise, it seemed planned or prearranged. After all, nobody heard about Carey's illness in the past 23 years. Candy's eyes locked with David's, full of sarcasm. Surprisingly, David didn't stop them. He looked intently at Candy for a moment, then turned to arrange bail for Carey. Candy stood there, watching him walk away. She wondered, could David really save Carey? Could such a well-rooted family truly unravel because of one person? Her curiosity piqued. She sat down on the sofa to wait. A few hours passed, and it was getting dark. Candy lounged on the sofa, feeling drowsy. The door to Ken's villa swung open again as Carey stumbled inside. As soon as she saw Candy, she collapsed to her knees, bowing repeatedly, tears streaming down. Sister, I was wrong, I really was. Please, for the sake of us being sisters, spare my family. Her voice was full of sobs, trying to be pitiful yet acting tough by biting her lower lip. I know you're upset because I took David from you. I'll give him back. Just please spare my dad, mom, and brother. They didn't know anything, they're innocent. I'll give David back to you. Just please be merciful, and let them go. Candy looked at Carey's fake act with no emotion, her eyes cold and mocking. I'm not the one not letting them go, you are. Whether it was back then or now, if you had admitted your guilt, they wouldn't be in this situation. When you decided to run from the accident and pin it on me, you should have known this day would come. Karma or the law doesn't forgive someone who commits a crime, but won't admit it. Isn't it a little late to be asking me now? Carey cried even harder. Sister, I know I was wrong, I really do. I'm willing to pay for my mistakes, just please don't trouble mom, dad, and brother anymore. Mom's in custody, and she's cried so much her eyes are about to go blind. Don't you feel anything at all? She's your biological mother. Feel something? Candy looked at the woman kneeling before her, finding it all a bit laughable. Are we putting on a show for David? Everyone's innocent except for me, right? Then I guess I'll just continue being the bad guy. With that, she stood up, smiling a bit. Carey shivered, quickly scrambling to hide behind David, eyes fixed on Candy. Candy didn't do anything, just looked calmly back at Carey. David frowned, putting an arm out protectively in front of Carey, looking at Candy with mixed emotions. Candy, don't do this. Let's sit and talk things over. Whatever you want, the Ken family will do their best to give you. There's no need to make things so tense. What good is it for you if the Ken family falls? You're still a real Ken after all. Let the Ken family go and help me get better. The Ken and David families will both support you. If you still like me, I can divorce Carey and marry you. Hearing this, Carey grabbed David's arm in a panic, tears in her eyes. David, what are you saying? We just got married. How can you say that? Did you forget what the master told you? Only by marrying me can your life be saved. David brushed her hand off gently, his gaze dropping. The master told me to marry the one I was originally engaged to as a child. That person isn't you. His voice was soft but loud enough for everyone to hear. Carey's eyes widened in disbelief, shattered and confused. What did you say? Then why did you marry me? Her voice rose, genuine tears in her eyes. David pressed his lips together. The person I was supposed to marry was Candy. I married you because you were easy to control. Compared to Candy, who seemed obsessed. Weren't you even more stuck to me? I'd say go east and you'd go east, do whatever I told you. Carey's eyes trembled. How could this be? Was all that tenderness and care just an act? Candy sneered at his words. David, I won't be with you. The Ken and David families don't mean anything to me. The interests you care about, I don't. I'm focused on my own path. Once I'm clear-minded, the dirt thrown on me won't stick forever. I'll clear my own name. Carey turned pale, asking David painfully, did you ever really love me? David was silent for a moment, then slowly said, Carey, a long time ago. I told you I always saw you as a sister. Carey was like she'd been struck by lightning, staggering back, nearly falling. A sister? So I was always just a sister to you. Tears fell down her cheeks, hitting the floor with faint sounds. If I was just a sister, why did I kill for you? Carey yelled tearfully. Candy felt uneasy suddenly. If David didn't care for Carrie, why put in the effort to rescue her? Was he afraid of something she might say? David ignored Carrie's accusations, looking at Candy again, asking Candy, I genuinely started liking you. Will you not consider curing me and marrying me? Candy frowned, feeling something off about David. Her instincts went on guard. She demanded coldly, what are you up to? David didn't respond. Inside the Kin villa, silence reigned. Even Carrie's cries faded. She looked at David with sorrow, while his smile grew darker. Candy furrowed her brows. 3 years ago, you killed that girl. It was a matter-of-fact statement. David laughed. You figured it out? Yes, 3 years ago. I orchestrated her death. But don't pity her. She kept coming after me. A scholarship student supported by the Kin family dreaming of being its young lady? Ridiculous. I'm the heir of the Kin Corporation, its only future. How could I be with someone only thinking about love? Just like you once did, always running after me. She'd agree to anything I asked. I kept her hanging, played hot and cold, and she'd start freaking out. David's eyes swept over Carrie and eventually, he even knelt at my feet, begging me to let her stay. I told her that if she'd wait for me on the street all night, I'd reconsider our relationship. Then David's voice went all casual, like he was talking about something unimportant. But Carrie just lost it. She collapsed and her cries interrupted him. Then you told me about it, encouraging me to run her over. You said nothing would happen, she'd get out of the way. But she didn't move, and I killed her. Hearing this, Candy was shocked, looking at David in disbelief, realizing this was all his plan. David laughed softly, squatting down, his fingers gently wiping away Carrie's tears. Stop crying. Didn't I have Kin's family bring Candy back to serve your time? You didn't even end up in jail. So what's there to cry about? Candy clenched her fists, realizing she was brought back to take Carrie's place in prison. David's scheming was so deep and ruthless. No wonder her grandpa waited 3 days for his $1 billion bounty and still wouldn't see him. Her heart pounded with anger, and suddenly she felt a pang of sadness. She always remembered how he saved her life. Even though he was wild and reckless, she still appreciated him, thinking he was a good person. Even though the David family, when reaching middle age, either went mad or dumb, she always thought it was their ancestors' curse, and even considered, if David were willing, Candy would definitely help him. But how did it become like this? Her eyes welled up with tears. She looked at David, and he seemed pained by her gaze, a familiar anguish between his brows. Candy, don't look at me like that. I really like you. If you hadn't pushed me away, been so decisive, I wouldn't have told you this. I'd have hidden it all forever. I'd wait for you to heal me, and then we'd live like normal people. As he spoke, a hint of plead entered his eyes. Candy, do I still have a chance? Candy's gaze was icy. You never had a chance. Hearing this, David laughed so hard his shoulders shook. Candy, then don't blame me. Before his words even finished, a group of black-clad bodyguards stormed into Candy's villa, charging straight for her. They were well trained, and there were many of them. Over time, Candy became overwhelmed, and Carrie, who had been frozen in fear, suddenly realized the chaos. She stumbled to her feet, not even picking up her fallen shoe, and dashed out like a maniac. But she didn't get far before bodyguards at the door dragged her back inside. Carrie was thrown to the ground looking a mess. David squatted and grabbed her hair, forcing her to look at him. The madness in his eyes was something he had never shown, even when Kin mistreated Candy. Carrie, didn't you always dream of marrying me? Now that your wish has come true, why are you running? Carrie turned pale, trembling and unable to speak a word. David pulled out a knife from his pocket, placing the cold blade against Carrie's fragile neck. I've never gotten my hands dirty, but since you're my wife, you'll get a different treatment. Just as the blade was about to come down, Candy executed a perfect sidekick, knocking a bodyguard closest to her to the ground. In a flash, she rushed David and grabbed the knife's blade, blood instantly soaking her hand, dripping warm and red onto Carrie's face. Seeing this, a mix of surprise and reluctance flickered in David's eyes as the knife slipped from his hand. Carrie seized the chance, curling up at the side, watching the chaos with wide eyes. Meanwhile, footsteps and police sirens echoed outside. Officers burst through the door, surrounding David and his bodyguards. Freeze! Police! Candy's heart leaped. Who had called the cops? As David was cuffed, He looked up at Candy, their eyes locking. In that moment, Candy saw relief and acceptance in his eyes, and what he mouthed as goodbye. Candy stood still, blood dripping from her wound, while people passed around her unnoticed. Her mind was filled with David's last glance before leaving. A week later, the infamous buried bodies case at the Grand Manor was cracked, unearthing 57 female corpses spanning 60 years. The shocking case created waves online, and the real culprit soon apprehended was the 80-year-old Mr. Smith. 3 years ago, Carrie's hit-and-run case was re-examined by forensics, who concluded that the victim had no vital signs before the accident. The case was cracked open by none other than the one who alerted authorities, David. Outside the prison, Candy paced, debating whether to go in and see David. She felt like there were things unsolved, yet wasn't sure what it all meant anyway. Maybe just seeking the truth, or some kind of closure. As she lifted her foot to step inside, the prison door opened, and an ambulance sped out, brushing past her, a gust of wind whipping her hair. A blood-stained letter fluttered from the wind, falling down much like the 99 breakup letters David had thrown to her on his release. Candy glanced at it only for a moment before looking away. Taking a deep breath, she walked to the prison entrance. The wind untangled the paper, with some words blurred in blood unreadable. Candy, I'm sorry. I'm a coward. The bravest thing I ever did was defy Grandpa to put you in jail to protect you. I'll never forget the first time I saw you. You were the girl I'd protect at all costs 13 years ago. Consider this my last thing for you. Out of prison. It was raining heavily. The downpour washed away everything, burying sins and secrets deep in the mud. Candy didn't see David. She wouldn't see him again. 3 months later, Candy sat quietly reciting scriptures before the old master. But it was Grandpa who walked up, hands clasped behind his back, and stood behind her, still trying to make sense of it all. What goes around comes around. Everyone has their fate. That Len boy killed the Smith boy in prison with a sharpened toothbrush, all for his sister. He's been sentenced to death. Others involved got their own punishments too. It's just a shame I once gave that Smith boy a chance, connecting him with you. But in the end, fate couldn't be avoided. Stop overthinking it. It's all over now. What's next isn't tied to you. Candy looked up at the old master. Yes, it's all over. Moving forward, the sky is high, and the ocean is vast. Stay true to yourself, free from emotional shackles. Finally, she found freedom. The end.